Culturally Clueless.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a brand new episode of Culturally Clueless. So this was a very, very packed week. So Diddy trial is going on. Cassie testified. Tory Lanez was stabbed. There's still no aid coming into Gaza. Donald Trump was in the Middle East and so much more. Okay, we here. What's going on?
Not much. What's
Everything.
going on with you?
Everything.
Like what?
Everything? Let's start. Let's skip Maria's question and start about the everything.
Oh my God.
One by one,
Look
please.
at
Go
those
ahead.
guys. They want to start right away. Look.
No, let's start with everything that you're talking about.
Basically, don't ask me how I am. Don't pretend. And we need to pretend like we didn't speak before on camera. Like we need to pretend like we just came here and we just say
No, Ray, come like straight to the question. Come on, move it.
Okay. Yeah, it's Monday. We have things to do and places to be.
Time is money.
Exactly. Okay, Maria, shoot your question.
Okay, this is a question that came out a few days ago.
Please, no introduction. Shoot.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! You guys don't know. It's not Monday for me. So, do you think that omission is deception? Like that not telling you something is equal that I lie to you? And when is okay and when is not okay? Because for me, omission is deception. Yes.
But
oh my God, you're in shock.
I'm still processing. So you're saying what you said is if something like if someone would hide something from you and not tell you,
but is it hiding?
Equal to lying, right?
Yeah, is it hiding or it's like you didn't ask me?
Oh wait, well, let him finish.
No, I'm
yeah, well,
hiding. That's yeah, exactly. Well, so basically, not telling you the thing is similar to, or equal to lying.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
I think so.
Question is. Okay. So it depends how serious and how dangerous it is, and how angry it will make you if that thing was told.
There's a lot of if.
Exactly, because I don't know. It's just a very broad statement. When we just say that, yeah, okay, well, if you didn't tell me, or you hid this thing from me, or you decide not to tell me, is like equal to lying. Like it depends on what it is that I'm hiding, or what it is that I'm telling you.
But it also depends on what relationship you stand with the person, no?
I don't know. The question is for you guys.
Yeah, that also applies, right? Because sometimes, like, if I don't want to tell you something that will make you upset, or will maybe, I don't know, make you sad, right? Then I am trying to be considerate, and I would try to be not, I don't want to hurt you with that thing, especially that it is something that can be, let's say it's something temporary, like it's not something permanent. Like, for example, if I don't know what example I can give, but for example, when my father passed away and no one told me, right? Then this is something. No, honestly, like it is something serious, something permanent. It's not something that is gonna end. Like my father's not coming back, and I will not really know about it, right? I'm just giving you an example. I know that's an extreme example.
Yeah.
But basically, this is something. Maybe look. I don't know if I can use this example, but the other day, Maria, when you didn't have your camera on, like when we had our podcast, you didn't have your camera on because of the situation that you had, the skin situation, right? So maybe if someone who's standing in front of you and you tell you, oh, you're looking okay, or not tell you that like it's looking bad or something, but because maybe later on it is going to look better and this situation is going to end. So basically, I don't know. It's not a lie in this case. It's like someone who's trying to not to make you feel bad, right? Does that make sense?
Okay, but can we? Okay, so please, I want to make this very clear. Don't ever do this to me. I prefer
Well,
the ugliest truth to the most beautiful lie, no matter how hurtful.
yeah. Well, again, what I'm saying here is, if it's something that is it's something temporary that I'm hiding something that is going to end, or something maybe I can fix, right? Okay, and I can avoid making someone feel bad and freak out until this situation is fixed, or until this thing that I'm hiding or I'm not saying is fixed. Okay, then why is it considered as a lie? Why would someone be upset about it? Like, right? I would use another example from a funny thing. There was an old play that we watched on TV, right? When the boy stole his father's car, and he went drifting with it. And when he came back and the father told him what happened to the car, this is something that cannot be hidden, basically. So the guy was just, first of all, he said, well, nothing, the car is okay. Every single piece is okay, but by itself, right? But which means the car is like completely gone, but like every single piece by itself is okay, but not altogether. Right. But like, I cannot really hide this. And I tell, oh, well, I didn't take the car, but like my father would walk out and see the car outside and like, oh, the car is destroyed. This is something I cannot hide. I cannot really, I have to say it, like I have to mention it. I don't know if I made it clear or maybe confused you more, because I can see the looks on your faces now.
No. You know what it is? It's just weird people who just like, whatever it is, just say it.
Yeah,
okay. At least I am like that. I don't know about Marie.
All right, shall I start talking now?
Yes, please. Always.
All right, we have 4 hours here, 6 hours.
Yes, no problem. Go ahead. I can give you 10 hours if you need, or we can have a part 2. But you see, okay, look, there are some people I know. Let me say it in, maybe this is what you mean, and you're just being like nicer than I am going to be. Sometimes you don't want to tell certain people things because their reaction is too much drama, and you don't want to deal with
it. So you're lying.
Well, yeah, that. Well, that as well. Yeah, okay. But again, if it is something that is going to come to an end, it's something that is going to disappear later, right? Then I'm happy to take the risk, if I can call it this way.
But what if somebody tells you don't do it to me?
Look, I'm going to give you an answer that you hate. I'll do my best.
Oh my God! Don't do it! Don't you even go there.
See?
Every week you say this to me at least once here on this podcast. Every week you say this. No.
That's a good way to end the conversation quickly.
No, it's not. Because I have another example now. What if somebody didn't tell you something because they wanted to protect you, how you say, because it's a fixable situation, but because they didn't tell you and you didn't have a certain information, you went and now you did something that made it even worse because you didn't have set information.
One second, I'm thinking about it. I'm just. Well, that's a very good point.
But this can happen.
Again, when I mentioned it, when I gave my first answer, let's say, all right, I would, that's a very good point that you mentioned, because if it is something, because how to say it, it depends on the situation, because some situations, like, it would never, your example maybe would never happen in some certain situation, and it might happen another, right? But still, it is up to me to maybe, I don't know, up to my judgment to work it out and think that, okay, look, I can fix this in short time, or this thing is going to be fixed in short time, and no one is going to be hurt.
This is when things tend to go super wrong.
But that everything comes out at the end. Like you can only hide things for a little time before everything show up, and then you are now you're a liar. It's like, oh, I didn't want to tell you because I was going to fix it. What are you gonna say?
Well, yeah, I was still gonna fix it. Again, it depends on the situation. Honestly, it depends on the situation. Like we can talk about multiple examples. You come up with some examples and let's work it out, right?
Okay.
If you have time.
One more example. Imagine somebody. No. Okay, so imagine somebody has an information about. Okay, there's 3 people in the scenario, right? Imagine person A is you, and person B done something to you that you don't know, like they done something hurtful that would really disappoint you, but person C knows about it and you don't, right? Now, would you, and now at some point it comes out, right? Or person B admits it to you. They have this big confession. They tell you, you know what, I did this and this and this, and I know you're going to be upset with me, blah, 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 blah. And then are you going to be mad at person C because they didn't tell you?
It's a question for Ray?
Everybody.
Oh, yes, I will mad at person C, yeah, for sure.
You definitely would be mad, that's clear.
Well, this is exactly why this is exactly the reason why I would say that if I can fix it before someone else knows it, especially like if someone,
but it's
like, for
gonna
example,
show at some point, wherever you were fixing it, it's gonna come to the light, and the person is gonna say, "Well, you didn't tell me."
No. Okay, let's say it's not something fixable. Let's say somebody stole something from you. Let's say person B.
Well, that's
look.
stealing.
Let me put it this way. If someone is anyway upset, if I told them and if I didn't tell them, if I fixed it and if I didn't fix it, if someone is always upset, right? And that's what I should know how this person is, and I would act based on that person, right? Based on my knowledge about this person. If that person is upset that if I said that, and if I mentioned it, and if they are upset if I didn't mention it as well, then I better mention it. I better talk about it.
But the thing is, if let's say person B stole from you, right? Because I don't want to give them that, or they did something sneaky. Let's say they did something very, they did something that's very hurtful. And person C is also very close to you, and they didn't tell you. Now, it's not fixable. If this person did something that's irreversible, what are you going to do? Are you going to be upset with person C because they didn't tell you? Or are you going to say, well, it's between me and person B because person C, they knew, but they just kept somebody's secret, that's it.
But the person C is close to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, no. She's gone too. The person C is gone too. Omission is deception. Even you saying that. Whatever it is, just tell me.
Yeah, that's me, but it doesn't mean that everybody can deal with the truth. There is a lot of people who cannot deal with the truth.
That doesn't matter that you cannot deal with it.
Okay, for example, I'll tell you something. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. There are certain things that I don't like to get involved. Even if I have a friend and let's say I see some stuff going on, let's see in a relationship between my friend and her family members or her husband, and I know about something, I wouldn't say it. I'm sorry.
Oh, I will.
Well,
I actually like if I see my friend husband cheating, I will call my friend. I will take pictures. I will make sure.
I'm sorry, I would never say. Because it always
pick it up and
backfires.
drive it to the place. Everything, yeah.
It always backfires.
It doesn't matter. I did my part. Whatever happened after, no need. But me as a friend, I did my part.
And what if somebody is not good in taking criticism?
I did my part. It's not. What do you mean criticism?
If you criticize somebody, if you say to someone, yeah, you know what, you are very like, let's say you you're too aggressive or whatever. I don't know, like something. You tell them something and they cannot deal with this type of criticism. Would you do that?
But you did your part.
Listen, it's like last week. If you don't ask me, I'm not saying nothing.
No, you see, that's omission.
Oh, bro, I don't have the emotional and the mental capacity to deal with people's drama reaction.
But you want people to tell you, but you say that you
because
won't tell people.
I know myself. I know I don't react crazy.
But see, that's double standards then.
That's okay.
Let's go.
But I know myself. I would never react crazy. Like if you tell me this, then fine. I can deal with it. It's very. I welcome it. What do you mean?
Nothing. I just clear my throat.
Exactly. Exactly that.
I just clean my.
Acting like I'm lying. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about Maria's topic.
The Pope. Yeah, the Catholic Church has a new Pope. Is Leo the
14th.
The 14th. What I like about him is his first speech to the church was he asked for a ceasefire. So he started with the right foot, I guess. Let's see what happens.
And welcome to Culturally Clueless, where Maria is still believing people on their first speeches when they try to make an impression on the world. And they haven't shown their real face yet because they didn't have a chance because it was their first speech.
Mi addolora profondamente quanto accade nella striscia di Gaza. Cessi immediatamente il fuoco. Si presti soccorso umanitario alla stremata popolazione civile e siano liberati tutti gli ostaggi.
Let's see. I say it started with the right foot. Let's see what happens.
So,
but also he was very political. He criticized the vice president about statements about Christianity. So all Twitters for him came out criticizing this administration.
So there is a very few interesting questions. I don't know if anyone cares. My question was, why is his real name Robert, but they call him Leo the 14th? And apparently popes choose the name. And he chose Leo to honor the Leo the 13th, who was defending the Catholic Church, and he was for peace. And during the Industrial Revolution, he was fighting for workers' rights. Yeah. With that, we conclude that nobody cares.
We're Pope. Nice.
Okay, let's move on. Maria, your topic.
My topic.
Yeah.
So, like everybody has seen in the news, United States has rolled back every single human rights regulations out there. Now they are militarized ISIS, that's an immigration force, and they are basically
ICE, not ISIS.
ICE, sorry, ICE.
I was wondering. I was like, yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
They're basically picking up people from the street without identification, mask. Like the vehicles are like they had no way to you to know that these are supposedly government agents. And the last incident that was very heartbreaking. And they attacked a 16-year-old on the street trying to protect the little brother after they take the parents away.
Stop! Stop right there. Show the conversation. On your arm. Show arm. I got her arm. Stop. Hey, she's going to arrest. Arrest her right now. You're under arrest.
the scene is scary, right? Because it's like 20 adults being a child, basically. The only silver lining part of these videos is how all the neighbors came to basically the rescue, try to protect her, taking pictures, protecting the other minor that was out there. So yeah, the situation in the United States is getting scary. So please, everybody, it's important that you know your rights. Always carry your identifications. I personally advise not to argue with these people, but always has your point of contact ready and any ID to provide to make sure that you are safe.
I don't want my dad. No, the Hispanic people not doing nothing bad. They're not stealing nothing. I can't do nothing but please open the door for the parents. I'm stuck over there in jail. I'm not gonna have nothing. It's the first day of school for me. My dad bought my everything for me to live over here. The rent, and I don't know what I'm gonna eat.
It shows how when people get together and get united, that they can make some difference, right?
Do we have actually any? Do we have any deportation from Australia? Do you know anything?
No deportations. Only deportations would happen are for people who are literally smuggled in or illegally entered, and they still, they don't really have a legal status. But
do you guys get a lot of refugees?
No actual. Well, that's the funny and sad thing about Australia. They don't really take so many refugees. They take refugees through the UN only. Someone who would apply from overseas, and they would study their cases. And there's very limited number of them who come. On the other hand, which is the not so humanitarian thing, there are some people who come as refugees, let's say, illegally. They would come from Indonesia on boats.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, they would be. They would be detained in a detention center, and that's not even in Australia. There had been, for the last couple of years, there had been calls for the non-humanitarian situation or condition of those refugees. They would be put in a detention center in Papua New Guinea. It's a small island called Nauru, I think, as far as I remember. And they would be sitting there for like years without really knowing what's going to happen to them.
Goodness.
Which is again, it's not really, of course, it's not really the nicest thing from the Australian government, that's for sure. But like, there's always calls for the government to at least, finalize their processes, because they're just stuck. Okay. There had been some other cases where some people came as refugees, like on a humanitarian level. They came into Australia and they pretty much they settled. Like, they lived in one of these cities or the villages, and they've got themselves some jobs or something, and even their children at school. But all of a sudden, like, there was a decision that they weren't really granted the permanent residency, and they are subject to deportation. But the good thing is that there was some public action. On a public level, and they managed to change the decision and to give this family a legal status. I remember this family was from Sri Lanka, and they were active members basically in the communities in that small town that they were living in. So the whole town and the whole city was really acting, and
that's nice.
They managed to keep it. Yeah. So there are some situations like this. I would say sometimes, the immigration laws in Australia are a bit, somehow you feel sometimes they are a bit dodgy. And it's also subject to the government, whoever takes over.
Yeah.
So the current government, let's say, they are supporting the immigration policy. The previous government or the previous party or the other party, they don't. Or let's say they do, but they just limit it. They just put so much constraints on it. So, yeah, it keeps changing every 3 years, let's say.
Yeah, depending on who's in power. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Oh. Okay. Moving to Gaza.
We are in Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip, and I've just met 3 families that are currently living in a camp, and they've been actually relying on assistance now practically since the beginning of the war. One of the families that I've met, Khaled, he was telling me that now potatoes are so expensive that it's practically a quarter of any money that he has on a monthly basis.
Maria. Maria just literally fell asleep.
Let the Palestinian talk about Gaza.
Even better. Go ahead.
Great.
No, you bring up the the news. So well, look, the situation in Gaza. It's we all know that especially yesterday there was even yesterday and the day before it was even worse. There were more ground operations in different parts of Gaza, in the north and the center, and the worst part, of course, is always the blockade. It's all bad, in fact, because blockading the aids isn't really the worst, because people are still getting killed regardless. I think that there had been a statement from the office of Netanyahu about allowing some aid to enter, basic food aid to enter, and the I don't know how to say it, but like they've pretty much justified it as if in order to avoid a humanitarian crisis, as if bombing people and burning them alive isn't really a humanitarian crisis, okay? But they also said that they are kind of regrouping, so that while they are regrouping their troops, they would let the aid in.
Yeah.
So can we relate to this? What is so humanitarian about it? And I don't want to start talking about, letting aid is by itself. Look, I don't know how to say it, but like if you're living in a neighborhood and your next door neighbor is getting beaten and pretty much killed one by their family members, all right? And all I do is that I just knock at the door, or maybe come to that criminal that criminal group who's attacking my neighbor, and tell him, oh, okay, can I deliver some sandwiches to these guys because they're starving to death? Are you serious? Like,
yes.
What? Where is the humanitarian thing in this? Is that the best I could do? I'm not criticizing people, but like, can you imagine like how much we gave up on? Of course, we didn't really give up on our action to stop, or let's say our activism to stop, the genocide that is happening. But like, is that is that how we reduced our level into okay, we're accepting now at least the aids. So okay, people are dying of bombardment and of hunger. And we are giving the aids, or letting the aids in, or trying to let the aids in. So I hate to say it, but so to get the people to live a little bit longer until some bomb would fall on them. I'm sorry, I can keep ranting for hours here, right? So that's why maybe one of you guys take over.
No, you are 100% right. You are 100% right.
And we need a ceasefire.
This is the moment just before an Israeli airstrike hit the European hospital in Gaza on Tuesday. Men, women and children are walking around the hospital complex in the evening local time. CCTV footage, which we verified, was captured inside the courtyard of the hospital. Ambulances are parked nearby. Seconds later, an Israeli bomb drops from the sky, creating a powerful and deadly explosion. We're not showing you the moment of impact because it's very graphic and shows the moment Palestinians were killed.
This is psychological warfare at the same time, because yes, you are starving people, you are bombing people, but now you make these people that you are killing anyways beg for food. And I feel like the reason why they are letting in this little bit of aid is just, again, these people don't care about nothing. They have pure immunity. And this is again where we see this was such a setup to act like there was a divide, there was a split, there was a breakup between Israel and US. It was not. It was not.
It's all a game for them. When Trump was in Saudi Arabia, they were Netanyahu, Israel, they launched non-stop bombing all over the strip.
Yes. And we should not forget about the contaminated water, all the poison, all the carcinogenic chemicals. And to be honest, by now, 35% of Gaza is occupied. They have placed troops everywhere, different corridors everywhere, different buffer zones everywhere. They're expanding the buffer zones. This is how they already got to occupy 35% of Gaza.
The only pressure that Donald Trump put was just to release one single hostage.
We're going to get to this in the next. Exactly. So the US strike the deal with Hamas, those guys that are apparently terrorists, that are not human, they are demonic, they are everything, whatever name you can think of. That deal went through very fast and very quick. Like, it was not a problem, not a big deal. This guy, who has dual citizenship, by the way, is not a full-blown American, is released. Why was that so easy?
And this guy, after finished high school here in the United States, the first thing that he wanted to do was go to Israel and serve in the ITF. Because that's what the ITF is full of. There are no people native to the land. There are people from all over the place. And this young man thought that the best thing that he could do is go and join the genocidal regime. And that is the one that they released.
I'm just very curious to see what his testimony will be like about his time with in Gaza with Hamas.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward to see what he's gonna advocate.
The next point is very funny. The UK.
Oh my God, that's not funny.
That is hilarious. Right? Did you see that?
That is a shame.
Did you see
how much cruel can you be?
I think that's one of my favorite statements any Western government made.
Go ahead, say it. Say the joke.
Oh my God.
They said that this is good that there was no aid coming in for so long into Gaza because Gaza is struggling with obesity, and it helped them to basically curb that problem.
Because this article does nothing but prove that the Israelis are committing genocide and ethnic cleansing. Since these lawyers are citing this article and deeming it credible information, let's take a look at some of the stuff in there. Over 1 million children are in need of mental health and psychosocial support. Over 110 civil defense staff has been killed while on duty. 210 journalists have been killed. 65% of the people in Gaza receive less than 6 liters of water a day.
It's infuriating, bro. Like, the audacity of these people. I'm laughing instead of crying. Like, how can you be so... I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So
Isn't
dumb,
it also
brainless.
doesn't it relate to some of the statements that also I think Ben Gvir, what he said before about we are limiting the amount of calories for the Gazan people.
So you said what? You said Gaza is too
keep them
fat?
fit. Well, pretty much. He didn't say it directly. Maybe he didn't want to hurt the feelings of the Gazan people. So he said he just wants to keep them fit. They are limiting the amount of calories that they are allowed to enter.
Oh, I see. This is why they made them leave from the north to the south to keep them fit.
Unbelievable,
They're all
right?
genocide statements.
They're trying to burn their fat. Literally.
No. I think that is infuriating.
So apart from it being infuriating or funny, don't you think is this just like absolutely beyond, like, what is intelligent about this? Like, a government speaking like this or being comedic or whatever is actually very shameful and tasteless.
Yeah, I would expect this. I wouldn't even expect this from a stand-up comedian, by the way, because they would be more sensitive about the situation. I wouldn't really expect that from a stand-up comedian, let alone a government or some officials.
I love dark humor, but this is not dark humor. This is stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, let's see what else they have as an excuse why. I saw actually something, but I don't know how true this is, so I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this allegedly, okay? Apparently, I mean, a lot of countries are sending aid to Gaza, right? They just don't let it in. So it's not even that they are providing the aid. The aid is coming from other countries. Apparently, and allegedly, China sent aid to Gaza, and they say to the occupation, if you refuse this aid to get in, we will exterminate you. This is the first time. Well, I would say, please don't let the aid in. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I will support that statement.
Same thought I had.
Sorry, not sorry. I know I'm not. This is supposed to be a little bit more cleaner and professional, but sometimes I'm just human.
No, but it's like Ray was explaining before. Like, what did they do with the food if you keep bombing them? Now we need a ceasefire. We need someone to stop these people. We need a bigger bully to bully these assholes.
They don't exist. As we can see, Trump went to the Middle East. He finally made a visit for 4 days. He went to Saudi Arabia. He went to the Dubai and Qatar. And I just want to say this. If people complain about Joe Biden being senile or having dementia, whatever, you guys need to really look at Trump's speeches. This guy talks about stuff that is nothing to do with nothing. And I understand nobody wants to hear to this monotone tone of his. He's very boring, very daddy. It's actually almost sounds like he's trying so hard to stay awake with his heavy breathing and weird breathing that he does. And then go and read the speeches.
And the way that he moved his mouth when he pronounced it was so cringe, bro.
Everything about him is great. But he closed a lot of deals, all to do with military, all to do with AI. His little minions, Elon and some other tech people went there as well. They are selling a lot of chips to the Middle East. They're creating data centers in Dubai or in the UAE. They are selling a lot of supplying them a lot of military equipment, and it's like hundreds of millions deals, and they even have an exchange deal with Qatar over $1.2 trillion. And in Qatar, he said that Gaza needs to become an American, basically an American observed or an American place in terms of like, so America is like looking over Gaza and is rebuilding it. And this is the only way that peace will be guaranteed in that region. And he received a very expensive $400 million Boeing 747 with 9 bedrooms, 5 kitchen, 5 bathrooms, and so on. Like, I don't think any of us has such, like, this sounds like it's bigger than how we live. This is just a plane.
No, it's his comments about it. There's the words like, oh, because we need, our plane was the smallest planes. And they all were like castle compared to the Air Force One. I mean, his comments were so out of touch with reality and with everything. These are the type of people that are in charge of our decisions, bro. That's why we are where we are.
Right.
Well, that actually, I'm just going to circle back to the aid and what I was talking about, about the feeling happy to allow aid to Gaza, while forgetting that, people are dying anyway. Back to my example about the neighborhood and the house next door. Well, I'm thankful for the neighbors who are trying to provide or drop some sandwiches from above the fence to their neighbors, or trying to get some permission from the gang or from the criminal who's killing the neighbors. There are other houses and other neighbors. What they are trying to do is they are actually complaining about the noise that the residents of this house that is being attacked, the screams of the residents of this house. And they are complaining about the noise and saying, you know what, come on, I got some work tomorrow morning and I can't really sleep while I can hear these people screaming. All right, I just need to put some earplugs in my ear and try to sleep because I want to wake up on Fajr prayer so I can basically pray and make some dua for the suffering, so God can end the suffering of these people. All right. These planes, it just reminds me of the same. Like, you've got 9 bedrooms in a plane, right? So I can sleep happily, and maybe I can wake up for my Fajr prayer during my flight, my long flight, where I can, which probably a business or maybe a leisure flight, right? But still, I'm going to pray for the people who are suffering. But I don't want to hear that noise.
It's the two-facedness and the inconvenience of what people suffering, you mean, right?
Yeah.
People feel inconvenience and act like they don't want people to suffer, but at the same time, they don't want to know and they don't want to see and they don't want to hear because it's inconveniencing them. That is very true. And this is actually, but unfortunately, this is most of the world, though. A lot of people know what's going on, and they're like, yeah, I'm very sad about what's going on, but it's inconveniencing them to think about it or to even go and research, find out why this is going on or what's going on. It's inconveniencing them. They're like, yeah, but, I'm busy and I have my own problems and I have a job and I have my family, really.
Yeah. I'm not even looking for what is the minimum I can do to help. Some people,
and they think that is so far away.
The minimum.
That this thing cannot happen to them, but people need to remember, if they can do it to them, they can do it to you.
Well,
they're not gonna. If they get away with this, they're not gonna stop in Palestine.
Yeah, right.
The story of the 3 bulls. There's a saying in Arabic, and it applies exactly on pretty much every country. I'm not going to say just some specific countries. It applies in every country, right? It says "أكلت يوم أكل الثور الأبيض." I don't know if you heard it. أكلت يوم أكل الثور الأبيض. I don't know if you heard it before, Nez, which means I was eaten already since the day that the white bull was eaten. So the story is about 3 bulls. I don't know if you have time for that, but it's going to be a short story.
Go ahead.
The story is about 3 bulls, okay? A black and a red and white bull. They were just in a ranch. They are just, freely. They are in a ranch. They are eating and they are enjoying their or living their life. But there was a lion in the forest nearby, and that lion was trying to keep attacking those bulls to eat one of them. All right, but as long as these bulls are standing up for each other and they are united, the lion couldn't really get a chance. Then the lion tried to strike a deal with the bulls, or tried to be, to trick them. So he went to the white bull, and he went to the red bull, and he told him, look, I'm a lion. I can eat you anytime, and I can eat your friends. But let me tell you something, right? In order to save your life, let me just, eat the white bull, all right? And you can just, pretend that, you were asleep or something and no one's going to see. So I'll just eat the white bull and walk away, guys, and keep you alive, right? And the bulls basically, and then he could even convince them that, the ranch is going to be all for yourselves, like for the 2 of you only, right? So you've got plenty of food. So they accepted, and they, just ignored the fact that their friend was being hunted and eaten, right? A couple of days passed, and of course the lion is hungry again. And he went to the black bull and told him, you know what, look, you've got the whole ranch for yourself. Let me just, come to your red bull, and, I'm just going to eat them, and, I'm going to spare your life. I'm just going to walk away after that. So the black bull accepted it, all right, and he pretended that, like he doesn't really know anything, and, his friend was eaten already. And a couple of days later, the black bull by himself, and the lion attacked him. No one is going to defend and stand up for that bull. And that's when the black bull said, I think I was already been eaten since the day that the white bull was eaten. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is what's happening for the countries. The white bull is Palestine.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone else are the other bulls, and they would just be following one by one until we realized at some point, like, we fell when Palestine fell already. But since that day, it was just a matter of time. So I hope that we would notice that.
Well,
But he has said multiple times, the greater Israel, that is the goal.
Well,
yeah, but still, people are still, just turning to the other side, and they don't want to see it; they want to hear it, right? Mm-hmm. They are, they are interested in 9-bedroom plane. Seriously.
Exactly. And there was a lot of ego stroking going on, like for MBS, and it's just altogether, it was ridiculous. And I don't know what to say. And as you said, with the bulls, it just I think it just showcases exactly what's going on. And unfortunately, I don't understand. It's actually sad that it has to happen. It's really sad, but that's what they want. So and like, as we know, these people are so like the biggest contradictions ever. On the one hand, they have the ICE people who are literally just like kicking out everyone, but the only refugees that are very much welcome in the US are South African white people. Those same people, the settlers from South Africa that occupied South Africa. And for years, like also in Germany, we have a lot of white South African. They've been coming over the years, and they've been like, I've been hearing from them, but we have, it's very violent. It's very like a lot of crime, and we don't get no jobs. We're being like discriminated from the government. And it got so much on my nerve. One time I said there was like a couple, I said to them, you get your taste of your own medicine. What do you want me to feel sorry for you? Like, I can't feel sorry for them because they're still doing it. They're still like this. I think I forgot what it's really. Oh my gosh, how did I forget the city? It's a city that they kind of like took over pretty much, just the white settlers, and they say this is like their city. This is, they want to take the city over, and they say, of course, Black people can come here, but they have to do as we say. So they're still trying to occupy South Africa.
Even if colonization is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that like I heard Trump's statement, one of his statements, when he was talking about that, the Afrikaners are victims of a genocide.
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't seen any people, living in tents. I haven't seen any people, under the rubble. I haven't seen any people filming their own rocket that is killing them, and they are flying into pieces in the air. I haven't seen any of this, right? And all of a sudden it's a genocide. And by the way, I'm not surprised, because when I told you when we were talking about the Australian laws about refugees, the previous government, or the other party, that was in 2018, I think. Okay, they also brought up the same subject about their concerns about the white South African farmers, and having to accept them as refugees and welcoming them into Australia, while they were limiting, or thankfully it didn't pass back in the day, but they were trying to complicate more the conditions for the legal skilled immigrants, for them to apply for citizenship. They wanted to prolong their waiting time. They wanted to increase the conditions in terms of like the permanent residency term, how many years, and even the English language test. There was some extra condition for like another English language test for those immigrants who did like I don't know how many English tests they did before they made it to Australia. So it happened. It's since 2018. It was there, right? And of course, we cannot really forget about when the Ukraine, when the Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine war started. We can't forget those statements from European countries, or even also from Australia. It was like the easiest thing ever for a Ukrainian family to come as a refugee.
Oh yeah,
and settle. And I'm sure in the US it's the same.
Everywhere. This is like. This is... And
you remember those reporters? Remember those reporters when they were talking about like, they are, like us. They are Europeans. They are white. Remember that, right?
White farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa.
Billionaire Elon Musk grew up in apartheid South Africa. He's one of Donald Trump's closest advisors, and he claims that there is a genocide of white people happening. South Africa's foreign minister says that there has been no land confiscation, and Donald Trump's claims that murder...
But there is a real thing of there is a real bias to that, right? And this is psychologically proven. The reason why a lot of Westerners felt so empathetic towards the Ukrainians is because they do look like that. The blonde hair, the blue eyes, everybody else. And this is way before October 7th. When Ukraine started, this is something that was getting me so upset. When I see like white people, like, people I work with or anyone saying this, I say, so you empathize with them because they look similar to you and because it's closer. But the kids in Palestine, you don't care about, because usually they have darker eyes and darker hair.
Yeah, perhaps we can ask the reporters and journalists in Gaza and the activists who are on the ground there on social media to just film the parts of the torn up children who are just who've got light skin color and lighter hair color, because they've got so many of them there. So maybe that would maybe help people to realize what's going on there. How about that?
That's maybe an option. But the fact that they're Arab and Muslim is going to still be in the way.
Well, yeah, we can work something out. we can get them to speak English or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we've got some options here.
Okay, we'll try. Let's discuss this. Maybe there's hope after all. Okay, so the next thing.
But like there's a genocide. That's what Trump said. There is a genocide in South Africa for the white Africans. That's
of course. And you know, South Africa is very upset about it because they obviously denied these claims and they said this is not true. But all these farmers are now coming to the US and there is some talks. There is no 100% proof. I will say allegedly they will receive some type of compensations in farms in the US, which is a little bit upsetting for the farmers in the US. But we'll get to that point when it's actually proven. It's a lot of talk right now, and we don't want to put any maybes or ifs or like misinformation out there. The next point is actually something that a lot of people are celebrating and very happy about. So Trump lifted the sanctions on Syria after 46 years.
It was important for us to see relief on sanctions on Syria, to help the reconstruction of Syria, to help the Syrian people recover from more than a decade of conflict, a decade of underinvestment. And we continue to support
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you hear about it?
Yeah, happy days. They lifted the sanctions, and they are going to. I read also on social media that there are going to be some more some more investments that are coming the Syrian people way. On one hand, that's good because like they have been going through sanctions, and they have been going through it wasn't really easy for the last 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But on the other hand, especially the news that I heard about, the investments and the brands, quote unquote, that are coming to Syria, like McDonald's and some other brands that you would already know what they are, you would start thinking that, okay, so are they now going to spoil the Syrians more so that the Syrians wouldn't really think about, their neighboring country? Because during the protests and during the since 2011, it was one of the chants that people were chanting during their protests against the regime is that, first we finish with Al-Assad and then we are moving towards Israel, okay, to Palestine, but keep moving towards Israel, which means, we're going to deal with Israel and, not going to leave it there. Okay. So what is happening now is that, the Syrian people were under the sanctions. And of course, it's not the government, it's just the people because the government, the previous government, right? So it was the people who were suffering.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, all right, guys, happy days. Now you've got a new president and now you are going, no sanctions anymore. You're going to get more jobs. There are more investments. There are more companies, international companies, which is the scary part coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can enjoy, you can eat all you want, you can wear all the brands that you want, you can have maybe shopping centers and malls and enjoy your life. And don't really look to the southwestern side of your border. Enjoy, after all the suffering and the starvation and, the difficulties and the hardships that you have been going through for the last 14 years. Okay, that's how I see it. That's exactly how I see it.
Did you know about the port that they made a deal with the UAE where they invested $800 million into building this port for the international trade and regional trade?
Yes. To me, so that port actually was before it was managed, or it had a contract to be managed by a Russian company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was, and it basically what it did over the last 14 years was to bring supplies to the Russian army and to the Russian troops who are operating in Syria and killing people. So now it is going to be managed by Dubai ports. And, you know, in fairness to Dubai ports, it's really, I love the way they operate, and it's so high standard. And, you know, that could bring some prosperity, let's say, or let's say it's going to be a factor, one of the factors that is going to bring some prosperity to Syria, especially that if it's going to be managed by that big company. But again, I keep, it's just me. I'm sorry. I don't want to ruin the good news, but it's me. It's like, that's what's behind it. What is coming behind that, right? Because look, the ports in Syria, they were controlled always by the Al-Assad family. Okay. And so part of those facilities were managed by the cousins, or one or two cousins of Bashar al-Assad. And they were managing and they were running all their smuggling activities and all their whatever drugs and whatever deals. They were all coming through those ports. And the other port, which is Tartus port, which is the one that had the deal with the Dubai ports. Mm-hmm. It was managed by Russia. So I don't know. Is it the US versus Russia? Or the West versus Russia? They are trying to the last footprint of Russia for Russia in Syria is that port, was that port. So now, you guys are out and let the West take over. I see it this way.
I mean, I just wonder what they offered him.
Honestly, I don't know. I really didn't, because I think that this news was like 2 days ago. And I'm still looking into it. Honestly, I'm still looking into it. So far, I'm still swamped with my conspiracy theorist mindset about everything that is happening there since they said they lifted the sanctions, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm still trying to look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nothing clear for me, especially from the planet where I live in now. So.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next thing that we have is actually a little bit sad. I don't know, Maria, if you fell asleep.
No, I don't fall asleep yet.
So we eventually had to talk about femicides, and this is a femicide that was publicly I don't know what televised on people's phones.
It was a stream.
Yeah,
stream on TikTok, right?
Exactly. It's an influencer. Her name is, what's her name? Valeria Marquez.
Valeria Marquez, yeah.
Exactly. 23 years old, beauty influencer. Very crazy story. So she was streaming in her salon in Guadalajara in Mexico. And then what happened?
So her friend, she received a note saying that she needed to go to the salon because she's gonna receive a very nice surprise. So to share the surprise with her viewers, he set up the TikTok stream live, and she was waiting for hours. She already received previous a very expensive gift with a little teddy bear, so she was very excited. And her friend said to wait. A messenger was going to come and give her a very big gift from one of his fans. So she waited. Actually, she waited for so long that she at some point they wanted to leave, but her friend insisted to wait, and she waited until finally in the video we could see the messenger come, and the messenger asked her, "Are you Valeria?" And she was excited and said yes. And suddenly, in this video that's very graphic, I found it, so I don't recommend you guys to look for it because it's very, very graphic. We can see the shots in her stomach, in her chest, in her head, and she fall, and all those hundreds of people were watching she being killed. And this is a very it's a big problem, and not only Mexico, but and I can only speak with South America. When crimes against women is to the riser, like in Mexico alone, 797 violence crime committed against women were reported. The same in the Honduras, Salvador, Brazil also skyrocket. So this like 40% of women have reported being victims of some kind of violence in all these countries.
23-year-old Valeria Marquez was at the beauty salon where she worked in the central city of Zapopan when a man entered and shot her. Earlier in the live stream, Ms. Marquez seemed concerned when she told her 200,000 followers that someone had come to the salon to deliver her an expensive gift while she wasn't there. Moments before her death, she is heard saying, "They're coming," before muting the video.
Okay, so her friend Vivian is being investigated. And Valeria, before, when she was shot, she was holding this pig that she received.
Animal.
Yeah, she was holding a stuffed pig. And they don't know if this has anything to do with the pigs. There's a lot of rumors. They say some ex-boyfriend who is a member of a cartel or whatever. They investigate in the friend because they don't know how much or if the friend has anything to do with this, because the behavior was suspicious. But as Maria said, this is the 8th femicide this year alone in her state. The highest number in femicides in South Africa is Brazil and El Salvador. And in 2024, about 800 femicides were reported in Mexico. And because Maria is from this for South America, I looked up Bolivia, and in 2024, 84. So your country is with the lowest. Like Chile is the lowest at the moment with 40. And yeah.
There is a problem there. Hopefully the government takes more serious, right?
Yeah, but there's also another problem. This is also like a big problem that I wanted to, this is why I even brought this, because it covers so many different problems. We have, for example, a 12-year-old girl in 2016 who streamed her suicide. We have a man in Thailand in 2017 who streamed killing his infant daughter. And there is plenty of this. How do you, like, what can social media do to protect people? Because this is, imagine your child watching a stream and a 12-year-old kills themselves.
Well, to start with, have they, these, for example, these 12 years old, have they been spending all their time online on the streams? Because of course there's of course there should be some mental or social or even family issues that they've been going through. But if they have been spending all their time on the stream, you can imagine the amount of loneliness that they are living as well, in addition to whatever that is happening in the background in their life.
Yeah, that is very true. But how do you, like, the worst thing is, like, how do you prevent? I mean, you can't prevent it, right? Like, these things do happen. But if you have, like, your child watching this, because you can watch a stream and it can happen anytime. You cannot know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it is in my opinion, it's two-way. It is, what am I, or how am I gonna get, or I'm gonna prevent my child to watch these streams, or to spend that much time watching streams, so that they won't really watch the wrong stream, something wrong like this 12 years old, right? So it starts from, what I'm trying to say here, it starts from the family, in both directions, in both sides, right? From the side of the viewer, whoever is viewing this, especially if they are children. So controlling and making sure that, my children have got, they've got enough care, enough love, enough activities, and keeping them busy, doing something productive, and fill their time rather than just being on the phone or on the screen all the time, right? So that they might end up because again, you can't really control. It's not like you have a limited number of channels like on the TV, and you can't really see anything else. No, you can just keep scrolling until you end up watching something that could be interesting, and all of a sudden it can become a disturbing thing. Yeah. So that's by if I'm talking about my children and my household, but how to prevent or how to control, let's say, other children to do something similar to that 12 years old. Again, it starts from the family. Where's the family? What is the role of the parents? What is the role of the even the school? Even how does their life look like? If I'm making myself clear, right? What made them get to this point where they are spending the time online? Because I don't think that this 12 years old just decided today, came from school or came from I don't know, their sports activity, and they were like, yeah, you know what, I'm feeling sad. Let me just start a stream and end my life, right? I'm sure that they are spending more time streaming, or they have been spending more time streaming to people. They've got followers, they've got viewers, all right, and that's where you can feel, or you can think that okay, they had been lonely for a while. They had been, not being looked after for a while, and they found a way of communicating with people online, and they've got followers. They've got people who are watching them and giving them comments, and maybe, I don't know, giving them some exchanging some conversations with them. All right. But at the end, this is not real, because they are still children and they want some face-to-face, some human interaction, not only on the screen. Yeah. Okay. So to me, I feel like, there had been so much happening in the background in their life. All right. They found a way out on social media and on live streaming and all of this. Okay. But at the end, whatever their background issues, they surfaced eventually, and it happened online. It surfaced, and in their mind, the solution was like, okay, that's it. I'm done, and I'm gonna do it. Maybe they haven't really had enough sympathy from their family members, right? They are not really. The family members don't really care about their feelings. So eventually, they felt that if they would do it online and they're in front of their viewers and in front of their followers, then they are getting some more empathy, and they are getting the followers will be feeling sorry about them. So they eventually found someone who feels sorry about them, right? And thought that, I better do it here while people see me and feel sorry about me, and maybe they will feel sad about me, rather than doing it while I'm alone in my bedroom and my parents maybe are just busy, or just whatever that their situation is. Okay. So at least they can see that people are sympathizing with them in comments, or in especially in the comments, and and they felt like, okay, that's the right moment to do it. That at least someone is feeling sad and feeling sorry about me, and then I don't have to worry about it after that, because I'm out of this life.
It's crazy. It's literally crazy when you think about it. For me, the hardest thing is how Maria said this video is so graphic, and my first thought was her family members. To see that, it's just.
Yeah, it's it is scary what's happening nowadays with all the social media and all of those platforms. It is scary how people are getting isolated, and how people also gain fame.
Yeah.
Through doing pranks, or doing some stunts, or just by doing their makeup, or just like this lady. She's just she has a beauty salon, and maybe she's sharing some ideas, or sharing some of her work basically.
Yeah, it's
live.
like business. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you feel like it's getting out of control nowadays.
But is it okay? So in Australia, I don't know if they pushed that law through where they said social media for kids 16 onwards.
There's no law like this.
They didn't.
No,
okay.
the only laws are about the use of smartphones and tablets at school, basically.
Okay, well, yeah.
And how limited they are and what are the rules for them, right? We sign those policies and we accept them and we explain them to our children usually. But the rest outside of school, it's up to us, the parents, to look after and control the whole thing.
Yeah, 16 should be the age for social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, even look. Well, there are people who are older than 16, and they are still going crazy. So.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. That is very true. That is very, very true.
Yeah, no, seriously, like when you see the amount of quote unquote creators, content creators, like someone is pranking his dad, for example. I don't know, on one hand you would see that the reactions of the dad are funny, or pranking his grandmother, right? But on the other hand, it's so disrespectful, so lame, right? And you think about it honestly, right? But it's I want to do.
You mean like generally, or do you speak about certain pranks that they take too far?
Well, honestly, it's while I'm scrolling on TikTok, for example, right?
Yeah.
And it's part 72, which is you can imagine, there have been 72 videos, right? Part 72, pranking my dad, right?
Oh,
and for example, the dad is sleeping on the couch, and the guy would just pop a balloon full of water on top of his dad.
Not funny.
Seriously? Exactly. What? Why? So you are making fun of your dad in public, and you can see the thousands of comments and likes that they are getting, and the guy is just getting further, getting more and more further. Not a couple of years. That was I don't know where the hell are they now. There had been this three brothers in Australia who would do quote unquote pranks as well.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they are from an Arabic origin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they basically is doing, they would just wear the Arabic dress, the
abaya.
The abaya or the galabiya or whatever it's called in other places, and they would put the agal and the head cover, and they would walk in the street. They were in Melbourne, as far as I remember. They would walk in the street with a bag, and they would just throw it at some people who are in a gathering, and they would Maria dropped. So they would throw it at some gathering, and they would run, and people would think they are terrorists. What? Are you serious?
I mean, this is very childish, and this is why, and then they don't have to be this is exactly why certain people have certain prejudices.
No, but honestly, there's one thing about those brothers. Okay, there's one thing about those brothers. One of them, he pulled a prank on the wrong person, and that person actually had a gun.
Oh.
And that's yeah. So this is where things would go wrong, and it's not always funny.
No, it's not at all. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's funny at all, and I think it's actually stupid.
Yeah, but you have some people laughing. This is the problem.
Mindless people, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to Maria. Maybe she didn't charge her phone, and I'm not sure if she's coming back. Oh, there she is. Maria, what happened?
Maria's back.
What happened? What?
I thought you fell asleep because I spoke too much.
But you okay? All right. Okay. I mean, Yeah. That's all we have actually for this week. Did we forget anything? Did we have to mention anything? Okay. Yeah.
Well, we always have a lot to talk about, but that's the reason why we do it every week. So, and it's never ending. Yeah.
Two and a half trucks with gone of food from 2001. Yeah.
But I feel concerned. I'm just gonna pull some humor here. I feel concerned that last week and this week we didn't really have any news about any nature attack on anything related to Israel.
Oh,
you remember, we had the sharks, we had the lynx, we had it's been 2 weeks now, and we haven't heard any. Have you guys heard any new updates or any new creatures attacking those people?
The only nature animal news we had this week was from Zimbabwe. I love elephants. That's my favorite, and they have like over 100,000 elephants in Zimbabwe, but they don't have enough space. And normally elephants are very precious because they get killed a lot because of the ivory, illegally killed, that is. And it's nice to hear that they have so many in Zimbabwe, but there's not enough space. So the elephants have beef with the people there because they fight over water and crops. And now they decided to put the GPS trackers on the elephants so they can see how much water and where they go and whatever they consume. And it's actually really funny. But when we talk about Zimbabwe, we should maybe mention that on the day of the Nakba, which was on the 15th this week, which we didn't mention, by the way, guys. How lame. There is a bunch of activists in Zimbabwe, and their statement was, they said, we are Hamas. The Palestinian liberation is the unfinished struggle of Africa. And I thought that was beautiful.
That's very true.
Yeah. And I want people to go check out, and I will say this again, and a lot of people don't believe, but go and check the real geography of where Palestine actually is, and you'll find it's actually on the African tectonic plate. I'm just saying. Okay, that's it. Then see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next week, inshallah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, before we move on, I just want to address a couple of comments from the streaming people. You guys, we're not going to touch on Tory Lane's case because I don't know if Ray and Maria are even familiar with this case. I can definitely say that nothing has changed for me. Like day one from years ago, I still do believe he's innocent. For those who don't know, he's still doing his 10-year sentence because he allegedly shot Megan in the foot, which we all know, or most of us finally are acknowledging that a lot of things are wrong with this. There is no inconclusive evidence. There's 4 different DNAs on the weapon. There is Chelsea, and I'm very happy to see that finally something that I said from day one, which is Chelsea, her best friend, getting immunity in this case. No matter what she said, she was not going to incriminate her. They gave her 100% immunity, which is very weird. So yes, and Tory was stabbed 14 times in prison this week. Clearly somebody wanted to get rid of him for many different reasons. Please do your research. There's a lot out there, and do not believe the rumors. These are people's life, and this is again another tragic case of Hollywood's demonic activities. How to say that? That's what happens when people go against Hollywood, and the same people that we're actually always speaking against when it comes to oppression and all of this. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Tory.